Hello YouTube, my name is Gamer Ashmile. Today we're going to talk about the Shadow Priest in 5.0. So we'll start off talking about Mastery. As you can see from this tooltip here, it basically gives each one of your dot ticks a chance to do double damage. It no longer has anything to do with shadow orbs or consuming them. Now how you can generate shadow orbs now is through Mind Blast and Shadow Orb Death. So you'll get more orbs at the end of the fight than you do at the beginning. Now consuming the orbs, your primary spell for consuming orbs is going to be Devouring Plague. You'll see I'll use it right here. So it's a lot shorter than what it used to be. The other way to use your shadow orbs is through Psychic Core. See the tooltip there. Probably won't be using that much in PvE, obviously. But there it is for PvP. We'll probably make a PvP video later. So aside from Shadow Orbs and Mastery, the rotation has changed a little as well. I'll show you these here. Divine Insight. It's not a preferred talent right now, but that might change. It can proc a Mind Blast with no mana cost and instant cast. And from Darkness Comes Light, we'll proc Mind Spikes. So we'll talk about the talents now. White Tendrils is just a root. Fiend is, this one, I can actually show this one. Drop this there. What he's going to do is just veer things away one at a time. And this is the new Mind Control. So next here, Body and Soul, like, situational again, but I feel like this is what we're going to be using the most. And then I'll get this sprint here. Or you could bubble anybody else, or leave a faith and just life grip. And they'll get the bonus as well, speed bonus. Angelic Feathers, you get to place these feathers on the ground. People run through them, get a speed boost. And then Phantasm, which has probably the least PvE value. Of course, there may be some fights where we get rooted or something. So next tier, we have From Darkness Comes Light, which looks like the best PvE talent right now, especially in multi-dot fights. And from what I've been seeing with Theory Crafters, this looks like even in single target fights it's going to edge out Mindbender. But that probably will change. Blizzard likes to change things around. This one currently looks like it has the least value. Desperate Prayer, just like it used to be, just a heal for yourself. Spectral Guise, now this is really cool. Even though I shouldn't be covering this in PvE video, I love this talent and it's so much fun in PvP right now. You just leave a little image of yourself behind, and then you get to run around as you wish for a few seconds. Angelic Bulwark, this one and Desperate Prayer are probably going to have the most PvE value. It just gives you a bubble, like a few other classes that get some sort of absorption or bubble once they get low. Twist of Fate, this looks like it's going to be the premier PvE talent for most fights. Like some other classes, we have an execute range, 20% now. Not 25% anymore. It's going to increase your damage at the end of the fight. So our we start Shadow Orb Deathing at 20%, and we're actually going to get more damage from this talent as well. So this should edge out Power Infusion in most fights, unless it's like there's some sort of dedicated burn phase. Let's take for example Spine of Deathwing. So whenever the tendon pops up, you're going to want to burn that tendon down. And Twist of Fate isn't going to do as much for you as Power Infusion, because Power Infusion will be up the whole time the tendon is up. So you can apply that to different fights. Divine Insight really looks like it's going to have the least PvE value. We're going to hit the dummy a little bit. And start off by showing you Shadow Word Pain. It's no longer refreshed with Mind Flay, as you see here. It's not going up at all. Okay, we'll put up VT and get our first orb here. Let's see if we can get a Mind Spike to proc. Refresh the dot. Use Mind Blast on cooldown to keep your orbs up. There's our first Mind Spike proc. Now one thing, if you have the legendary staff, if you proc a Mind Spike from your staff, then it will clear your dots. I'm not sure what's up with that. But as you saw, we got our 3 orbs. We just got another Mind Spike proc. But once we get our 3 orbs, we put up Devouring Plague. Now we did it once, I'll show you again. You can use it with any amount of orbs, but it's best with 3, obviously. Another Mind Spike proc. You saw there, okay. I got a Mind Spike proc from my staff, and the proc actually cleared the dots. So before we move on to glyphs, I'd like to reiterate, if you do have the legendary staff, and you saw there, my Mind Spike proc from the staff, not from the talents, it will clear your dots, and I was totally baffled the first night we were raiding. I couldn't figure out why my Mind Spike procs were clearing my dots, but that seems to be why. So that second Mind Spike that you proc from the legendary staff is clearing your dots. So our mandatory glyph here is Glyph of Mind Spike. Whenever you cast Mind Spike, you get a reduced cast time on Mind Blast. So if you get 2 of them off, you get an instant cast Mind Blast. Now I believe they're upping the buff from this glyph, from 6 seconds up to 9, and that'll make that a bigger window where we can get that Mind Blast off. We've got Dark Binding, which enables you to do a few more things in Shadow that you couldn't do before. It's not all that great. I'd like to see Flash Heal on this glyph as well, but it's not there yet. Hopefully they change that. Glyph Dispersion, pretty much the same as what it was. Fear Ward's pretty much the same. Fade here reduces damage taken. Obviously that could be good in some progression fights. Inner Fire, not a whole lot of fights where the armor increase is going to be good in PvE for a priest. It's more of a PvP thing. But there are some fights like Morchok where you're taking physical damage from the stomp, and that could be good. Inner Sanctum, 6% reduced spell damage. Obviously we're going to be using Inner Fire and not Inner Will for the time being. Maybe they'll change that. Levitate seems okay. Could be one more boost to your speed. I highly doubt it'll be stacking with our other talents and glyphs. Mind Blast is more of a PvP talent. You're really not going to be wanting to stun much in PvE, obviously. Psychic Core, that's another one you're probably not going to need in PvE, but it's there for PvP. So Psychic Scream really is more of a PvE talent. So if you've got your tank with a big mob, or people are taking a lot of damage from a mob, you can run in there in fear, and they won't all spread out and piss off your tank because everything's everywhere. Now everything will just stand in place. It's a good one if you've got nothing else to put in those slots. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Shadow Word Death, this really to me looks like an attempt to make Shadow Word Death still viable to counter the polymorph in PvP. So not much there. This one looks okay. Glyph of Vampiric Embrace, more healing, and it's another thing I didn't cover. Vampiric Embrace is not a buff anymore. It is a cooldown. We'll hover over this here. So just like any other raid cooldown that other people had before, this is pretty much going to replace your Divine Hymn. We used to be able to use Divine Hymn, the Shadow. Now we've lost that, unfortunately, and this is, I guess, their attempt at a replacement for that raid cooldown. So we'll wrap this up with some things that we gained and lost as far as spells. We gained Silence in Psychic Core baseline. We lost Divine Hymn, Mana Burn, Heal, and Greater Heal. Go to the back here. We gained these without having to spec into them. You get hit from Spirit automatically. You get Shadowy Apparitions automatically. So my last point here is going to be about weapons and the range slot. Okay, so we lost our range slot. It's definitely a big change. Wands are now main hand weapons. So if you have a wand, you might want to check its stats, see if it's better in your main hand, and you might want to throw that in your main hand slot. And if you do, make sure you put Power Torrent on it, because you can enchant wands now as well. For example, my mage, his new best weapon he has available for him is the Valor Wand. So I enchanted that and put that on him. But yeah, just be aware of that change, and make sure you're not putting yourself in a bad position by not switching out your better weapon. But that's it. Thanks for watching.